First contact. The signals appeared on a Tuesday. Dr. Daniel Carter stared at his monitor, coffee forgotten in his hand. The pattern was unlike anything he'd seen before, regular pulses that couldn't possibly be natural. After 20 years of scanning the stars for signs of intelligent life, he'd finally found something. "Hey Karen, come look at this," he called to his colleague. Dr. Karen Webb hurried over, her eyes widening as she studied the screen. "Is that?" "Yes," Daniel said. "I think we just made first contact." Within hours, the Global Space Initiative headquarters was buzzing with activity. Scientists from around the world joined emergency video calls as Daniel and his team worked to decode the message embedded in the signal. 3 days later, Daniel stood before the United Nations Security Council, trying to keep his voice steady. "The message is clear," he explained. "They're coming to Earth. Their estimated arrival is in 2 weeks." The room erupted in questions and concerns. World leaders debated whether this was a threat or an opportunity. Military officials urged caution, while others saw the potential for technological advancement. "The message specifically mentions peace," Daniel insisted. "They call themselves the Galactic Council and claim to represent 17 spacefaring civilizations." When the day arrived, the alien vessel appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit. It was massive, nearly a mile long with a sleek, silvery exterior that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Every screen on Earth showed the same image as global news networks broadcast the historic moment. Captain Lisa Morgan watched from the bridge of the U.S. Defender, Earth's most advanced spacecraft. Even so, it felt like a toy compared to the alien vessel. "Hold position," she ordered her crew. "No aggressive movements." The alien ship sent a shuttle down to the designated landing zone outside Geneva. World leaders and selected representatives gathered in a hastily constructed welcome center. Daniel was there, along with Karen and their research team. The shuttle doors opened, revealing Ambassador Zixvorn of the Trilaxian Empire. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. Despite its alien appearance, its face held recognizable features: 2 large eyes, a mouth-like opening, and what appeared to be ears. "People of Earth," the ambassador's voice came through a translation device. "We welcome you to the greater galactic community." The formal introductions proceeded smoothly, with Earth's Secretary General greeting the ambassador with practiced diplomacy. For a moment, humanity dared to hope for a bright future among the stars. That hope faded when Ambassador Zixvorn revealed the true purpose of the visit. Earth sits at a strategically valuable location, the ambassador explained during a private meeting with Earth's leaders. "The Galactic Council offers you protectorate status. This is a generous offer that includes technological exchange and defense." "And if we decline?" asked the American president. "Then you will be isolated. No trade, no cultural exchange, no protection from less ethical species who might discover your world." Captain Morgan, invited as a military observer, felt her stomach tighten. "This isn't an offer," she whispered to Daniel. "It's an ultimatum." The global emergency summit that followed was tense. Nations argued about sovereignty and independence versus pragmatism. Some saw opportunity in cooperation, while others recognized the thinly veiled threat. "We shouldn't rush into this," Captain Morgan argued before the assembly. "Their technology gives them every advantage. We need time to understand what protectorate status truly means." But fear and the promise of advanced technology won out. Earth's leaders prepared to sign the agreement, believing they had little choice. As Daniel watched the proceedings, he noticed something troubling in the ambassador's demeanor when speaking with other council representatives, a subtle smugness that the translation devices didn't capture. He couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was making a terrible mistake. The false peace. 6 months after Earth signed the protectorate agreement, the changes became impossible to ignore. The Galactic Council established their main outpost on the lunar surface, a sprawling complex that grew larger each week. They called it a diplomatic hub, but its weapon systems told a different story. Dr. Daniel Carter watched through the observatory telescope as alien ships came and went, carrying Earth's resources away. The Council had begun development projects across the planet, mining operations that extracted rare minerals at an alarming rate. "They're taking everything valuable," Daniel said to Captain Lisa Morgan as they met in his small apartment, "and giving us outdated technology in return." Lisa nodded grimly. "Military leadership is concerned. The technology they shared with us has backdoors. Every piece of alien tech on Earth reports back to the Council." Earth's governments had initially celebrated the alien technology. Medical advances had cured several diseases, and the new energy systems reduced pollution. But these gifts came with strings attached. Council advisors now sat in every major government, offering guidance that couldn't be refused. John Phillips noticed the pattern before most. A former military intelligence officer, he had been watching the aliens closely. He started gathering like-minded individuals, people who saw past the Council's false promises. "They monitor everything," John explained to the small group meeting in an old warehouse. "Every communication device using their tech is compromised." Susan Rivera, a senior executive at Global Communications, nodded in agreement. "I've seen the data streams myself. Everything gets sent to the lunar base. They know what we're saying, what we're planning." The underground resistance grew slowly. They used old technology, paper notes, analog radios, and computer systems completely isolated from networks. They gathered evidence of the Council's true intentions. Susan's position gave her access to the alien databases. One night, she downloaded files that confirmed their worst fears. "It's all here," she told John, her voice shaking. 5-year plan, 20-year plan. They intend to strip mine the entire planet. Once they've taken what they want, they'll reduce human population to manageable levels and use us as a labor force. The resistance faced a difficult challenge. How could they fight an enemy with vastly superior technology? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Karen Webb had been working with alien tech since first contact. While the Council shared some technology, they carefully controlled access to their weapons and defensive systems. But Karen discovered something they had overlooked. All their systems used the same communication protocol. She explained to the resistance leaders, "If we can disrupt that, we might have a chance." Meanwhile, the Council's demands grew more extreme. New restrictions limited Earth ship movements within the solar system. When Brazil protested the mining of the Amazon basin, Council ships demonstrated their power by creating a massive tidal wave that flooded coastal areas. A regrettable accident, according to Ambassador Zixborn. John's resistance network expanded, with cells forming in every major country. They carefully recruited scientists, military personnel, and people with access to resources they would need. Susan continued gathering intelligence, taking enormous risks each time she accessed the Council databases. During one such mission, she discovered plans for the population management protocols, scheduled to begin within 2 years. "We're running out of time," she told John after slipping away from a Council reception. "They're going to start culling humans soon." The resistance needed a bold move. They identified a vulnerable Council transport ship carrying advanced weapons technology. If they could capture it, they might gain the knowledge needed to fight back. Commander Ryan Foster, a naval officer secretly working with the resistance, assembled a team for the mission. As they prepared, Daniel and Karen worked to develop countermeasures against Council surveillance. The trap was set. Humanity's fight for freedom was about to begin. The spark of rebellion. Commander Ryan Foster led his team through the darkness of the Nevada desert. The night provided cover as they approached the Council transport ship that had made an emergency landing due to technical difficulties. Difficulties secretly caused by resistance hackers. "Remember, non-lethal takedown if possible," Ryan whispered to his team of 12 former Special Forces soldiers. "We need their tech intact, and we need prisoners who can answer questions." The alien crew had no reason to expect an attack. Earth had been compliant for nearly a year now. This complacency was their weakness. The raid took less than 6 minutes. The Council security team was subdued with stun weapons modified by Dr. Karen Webb. Ryan's team secured both the ship and its valuable cargo. "Get Dr. Amanda Wells here immediately," Ryan ordered after ensuring the area was secure. Amanda arrived within the hour. A brilliant engineer who had been studying alien technology since first contact, she was the Resistance's best hope for understanding the captured systems. "This is beyond anything they've shared with us," she said, eyes wide as she examined the ship's weapons array. This technology could change everything. For the next 3 weeks, Amanda worked tirelessly in a hidden facility beneath an abandoned factory. The Resistance had constructed the bunker using old methods, no digital blueprints, no modern construction equipment that might alert the Council to their activities. While Amanda studied the alien weapons, Dr. Daniel Carter made a discovery that would change the course of the rebellion. He had been analyzing the energy signatures from Council ships when he noticed a pattern. Their shields operate on a quantum frequency that cycles predictably. He explained to John Phillips and the Resistance leadership, "There's a split-second vulnerability every time the cycle resets." Susan Rivera confirmed his finding using data she had stolen from Council servers. "It's their only weakness, but it's significant. If we can time an attack precisely at the reset point, their defenses fail completely." The Resistance began manufacturing weapons based on Amanda's research. Old factories were secretly converted to produce components that, when assembled, created weapons capable of exploiting the Council's vulnerability. On the lunar base, Overseer Krell became increasingly suspicious. The Council's monitoring systems detected unusual power consumption and resource movement on Earth. "The humans are hiding something," Krell told Ambassador Zixvorn. "I recommend immediate action to curtail any potential rebellion." The ambassador agreed, and new restrictions were announced. Curfews were imposed in major cities. Council peacekeepers began conducting random searches of homes and businesses. Resources were further restricted, with food and medicine now controlled by Council distribution centers. These harsh measures only strengthened the Resistance. Thousands of new members joined, outraged by the Council's tightening grip. Captain Lisa Morgan, still officially serving in Earth's increasingly ceremonial defense force, secretly coordinated with Resistance cells worldwide. Her position gave her valuable intelligence about Council movements and plans. "They're preparing for something big," she warned John during a clandestine meeting. "The lunar base has doubled its security, and they're bringing in additional warships." The Council had detected Earth's military buildup, but underestimated its extent. They believed they would find a few primitive weapons, not understanding that humans had already reverse-engineered their technology. Amanda's team completed the first prototype weapon system designed to exploit the Council's shield vulnerability. Tests conducted in a remote underground facility proved successful. "It works," she told the Resistance leaders, her face showing both triumph and concern. "We can punch through their shields, but we'll only get one chance to surprise them." The Resistance now faced a critical decision. They had the means to fight back, but striking too soon could doom them all. Striking too late might allow the Council to discover their advantage. As debate continued, news arrived that changed everything. The Council had scheduled the first phase of their population management program to begin within 2 weeks. The time for waiting was over. The spark of rebellion was about to ignite into a blaze: the Hidden Fleet. Nobody outside the Resistance knew about the secret shipyards, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The construction facilities had been built slowly over the past 10 months. Mining ships, officially collecting resources for the Council, had secretly diverted materials to these remote locations. Admiral Peter Hayes stood on the observation deck of Earth's first true warship. They had named it Defiance, and it represented humanity's best hope against the Council's overwhelmingly superior forces. "How many ships are ready?" Peter asked the chief engineer beside him. 17 combat-ready vessels, sir. Another 23 will be operational within 2 weeks." The Defiance was unlike anything humans had built before. Its hull incorporated modified alien metals that absorbed sensor scans. Its weapons systems, based on Dr. Amanda Wells' breakthrough research, were specifically designed to target Council shield vulnerabilities. Back on Earth, the Resistance had grown into a global alliance. Government officials, military leaders, and ordinary citizens had joined together, communicating through old radio technology and in-person meetings to avoid Council surveillance. John Phillips coordinated operations from a bunker beneath Detroit. Maps covered the walls, showing Resistance strongholds and Council facilities targeted for the first wave of attacks. The Council believes we're primitive, John told the assembled Resistance leaders. They think we're incapable of understanding their technology. That arrogance will be their downfall. Lieutenant Olivia Barnes had created the key to their success, a stealth system that rendered ships completely invisible to Council scanners. She had discovered that aligning specific electromagnetic frequencies created a blind spot in alien detection technology. Their sensors are actually more limited than ours in certain ways, Olivia explained as she calibrated the system on the Defiance. They rely too heavily on quantum signatures and neglect basic radiation detection. The Council remained unaware of the full extent of the threat. They had detected some unusual activity in the asteroid belt, but dismissed it as primitive mining operations. Their intelligence reports estimated that Earth could perhaps field a few armed shuttles at most. Susan Rivera continued her dangerous work, feeding false information to Council databases while extracting valuable intelligence. Her latest discovery confirmed what they had long suspected. Earth was just the beginning. The Council had plans to subjugate dozens of developing worlds. They see us as nothing more than resources to be harvested, she told Peter during their encrypted communication. We're not just fighting for Earth, but for all species they plan to exploit. The fleet grew stronger each day. Earth ships incorporated human ingenuity with stolen alien technology. While Council vessels were larger and more powerful, the human ships were faster and more maneuverable. Pilots trained constantly in simulators programmed with Council battle tactics. Dr. Daniel Carter developed navigation systems that could plot courses through spaces the Council considered impassable. These Carter routes would allow Earth ships to appear where least expected. The Council relies on established travel lanes, Daniel explained. They've forgotten how to think outside their comfort zone. We haven't. As the day of rebellion approached, Captain Lisa Morgan officially defected from Earth's Council-controlled defense force. She brought with her valuable intelligence and dozens of loyal officers. The Council is planning a major announcement next week, she told the Resistance leadership. They're going to reveal the first phase of population reduction. It will begin with volunteer relocations to off-world labor camps. This news accelerated their timeline. The fleet would need to strike before the Council could implement these plans. Admiral Peter Hayes addressed the crews of all 40 ships now assembled in the asteroid belt. His message was short but powerful. For centuries, humanity has looked to the stars with hope. The Council tried to turn that hope into servitude. Tomorrow, we show them the error of their ways. We fight not just for our freedom, but for our very existence. Earth stands united, and we will not fall. The hidden fleet powered up its engines. The rebellion was about to begin. First strike. The attack began at dawn. Earth's ships emerged from hidden positions throughout the solar system, appearing seemingly out of nowhere thanks to Lieutenant Olivia Barnes' stealth technology. The Council base on the moon had no warning before the first shots were fired. Admiral Peter Hayes watched from the bridge of the Defiance as precise energy beams struck the lunar outpost's shield generators. The timing was perfect, hitting exactly during the millisecond vulnerability in the shield cycle that Dr. Daniel Carter had discovered. First target neutralized, reported his tactical officer. Their communications array is down. All ships, advance to second phase positions, Peter ordered. The fleet moved with practiced precision, each vessel targeting its assigned objective. On Earth, resistance cells launched simultaneous attacks on Council facilities. John Phillips coordinated the global assault from his underground command center, where screens displayed real-time updates from around the world. Paris team has secured the European Control Center, a communications officer reported. Beijing team encountering heavy resistance but still advancing. The Council had been caught completely unprepared. Their confidence in their technological superiority had made them complacent. No subject species had ever dared to rebel with such coordination and force. Eric Summers led the cyber warfare team that had infiltrated the Council's communications network months ago. From a hidden server farm in the Rocky Mountains, he and his team activated their virus, severing connections between Council forces. Their ships can't talk to each other, Eric reported. Their command structure is in chaos. In orbit around Earth, Council reinforcements began to arrive. 3 massive warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons powering up. But Admiral Hayes had anticipated this response. Earth ships were already in position, firing at precisely calculated intervals to exploit the shield vulnerability. Council flagship shields down to 30%, his tactical officer called out. They're trying to adapt their shield frequency, but our targeting is adjusting automatically. Captain Natalie Wright led the boarding parties. Her ship, the Intrepid, docked with the damaged Council flagship. 50 soldiers in armor modified from captured Council designs breached the hull and fought their way to the bridge. We've secured the flagship, Natalie reported over the secure channel. The Admiral is in custody. We're downloading their tactical database now. The battle raged for 6 hours. Council forces, accustomed to easy victories against less advanced civilizations, found themselves outmaneuvered by human tactics. Earth ships attacked in patterns that seemed chaotic, but were actually carefully orchestrated to keep the Council forces off balance. Dr. Amanda Wells monitored the performance of her weapons systems from the backup command center in the Andes. The energy modulators are exceeding expectations, she told Admiral Hayes. Their shields can't adapt fast enough to our frequency shifts. By midday, the outcome was clear. The Council forces were retreating, abandoning their lunar base and Earth facilities. The human rebellion had achieved what the Council had thought impossible. In the aftermath, Susan Rivera accessed the captured Council databases. "Admiral, you should see this," she said, her voice tense with excitement. The Council has been transmitting news of their defeat throughout their territory. Other subject species are asking how we did it. News of Earth's successful rebellion spread quickly through Council space. The supposedly invincible Galactic Council had been defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitives. The psychological impact was enormous. John Phillips received reports from Council worlds where other subjugated species had begun their own uprisings. "We've started something bigger than we imagined," he told the Resistance leadership. Admiral Hayes ordered Captain Natalie Wright to secure all strategic data from the captured flagship. "We need to understand their full military capabilities and political structure," he said. This was only the first battle in what will likely be a long war. As Earth celebrated its initial victory, the Resistance leadership knew the Council would return with greater force. But for the first time, humanity faced the future with genuine hope. They had proven they could fight back and win. The Council divided. News of Earth's victory spread throughout Council space like wildfire. The Galactic Council, a body that had ruled unchallenged for centuries, called an emergency session on their capital world, Zentrix Prime. For the first time in memory, the 17 member species were openly arguing. "How could primitives defeat our most advanced ships?" demanded the Vortex representative, their gelatinous form pulsating with anger. "Perhaps they are not as primitive as we believed," replied the Medusan delegate, the only Council member who had opposed Earth's subjugation from the beginning. On Earth, Admiral Peter Hayes reviewed intelligence gathered from the captured Council flagship. The data revealed something unexpected: significant political divisions within the Council itself. "Several species have been pushing for reforms," Peter explained to the Earth Defense Committee. "The Medusans, Arcturians, and Delphians have all filed formal protests about how Earth was treated." This information presented an opportunity. Commander Greg Martinez, a former diplomat before the Council invasion, volunteered to lead a mission to these potentially sympathetic species. If we can turn some Council members to our side, we might avoid a full-scale war, Greg argued. We should exploit these political divisions. While Greg prepared for his diplomatic mission, Earth forces continued to strengthen their position. The fleet grew as more ships were completed in the asteroid belt shipyards. Each vessel incorporated lessons learned from the first battle, with improved weapons and defenses. Dr. Kate Powell led a research team studying captured Council technology. Working day and night in a facility beneath the Antarctic ice, she focused on their power systems. "I found something," she announced after weeks of analysis. "Their ships generate energy using quantum resonance. If we can create a counter-resonance field, we could temporarily shut down their power." This discovery accelerated production of what became known as Powell disruptors, devices that could render Council ships helpless for short periods. 3 weeks after Earth's initial victory, the Council launched its counterattack. A fleet twice the size of the First Force entered the solar system, determined to crush the human rebellion. Admiral Hayes deployed his expanded fleet in a defensive formation around Earth. "Remember your training," he told his captains. "They're stronger, but we're smarter." The battle began badly for Earth forces. Council ships had adapted to the shield vulnerability, implementing random frequency shifts that made them harder to target. Earth vessels took heavy damage in the initial exchange. Then Kate Powell's disruptors came into play. Earth ships equipped with the new technology moved into position and activated the counter-resonance field. Suddenly, half the Council fleet went dark, their power systems temporarily disabled. "All ships, concentrate fire on the powerless targets," ordered Admiral Hayes. Earth's fleet surged forward, overwhelming the defenseless Council vessels before they could restore power. Meanwhile, Commander Martinez's diplomatic mission was bearing fruit. Meeting secretly with representatives from sympathetic Council species, he presented evidence of the Council leadership's long history of exploitation. "Earth is just the latest victim," Gray explained to the Medusan delegation. "Your own colony worlds have suffered similar resource theft, disguised as development aid." On the third day of battle, 3 Council ships suddenly changed course and began firing on their own fleet. The Medusan commander opened a channel to Admiral Hayes. "We stand with Earth," the alien declared. "Too long have we watched the Council corrupt its founding principles. Today we choose freedom." This unexpected alliance turned the tide. The divided Council fleet retreated in disarray, with several ships defecting to the Earth Alliance. In the weeks that followed, 3 occupied systems declared independence from Council rule. Earth forces, joined by their new allies, helped liberate these worlds from Council control. Each victory brought more defections from the Council ranks. The liberation of the Delphian homeworld marked a critical turning point. The Delphians, renowned for their strategic thinking, brought valuable insight into Council weaknesses. The Council has never faced a true rebellion before, the Delphian Prime explained to Earth's leaders. Their political structure cannot withstand prolonged conflict. As more species joined what became known as the Alliance of Free Worlds, the balance of power shifted dramatically. The once mighty Galactic Council now controlled barely half its former territory. A new galactic order. The Orion system blazed with weapons fire as the largest space battle in galactic history reached its climax. 300 Alliance ships faced off against the remaining Council fleet. At the center of the Alliance formation, the Earth flagship Defiance led the charge, Admiral Peter Hayes standing firm on its bridge. "They've committed their reserves," Peter noted as enemy ships moved to block their advance toward the Council's main base on Orion IV. "All ships, execute Pattern Delta." The Alliance fleet broke into precisely coordinated attack groups, each targeting specific enemy vessels. 6 months of fighting had honed their tactics to perfection. Earth ships, once considered primitive by Council standards, now represented the cutting edge of hybrid technology, combining human innovation with alien engineering. Dr. Kate Powell's disruptor technology had been refined to affect larger areas. When activated, it created a wave of energy that temporarily disabled Council ships' power systems. The Council had developed partial countermeasures, but their ships still suffered brief vulnerabilities that the Alliance exploited mercilessly. On the diplomatic front, Commander Greg Martinez had succeeded beyond all expectations. What began as a small coalition had grown into a formidable alliance of 12 former Council species. Each brought unique abilities and technologies to the fight. "The Council leadership is requesting terms," reported the communications officer on the Defiance's bridge. "They're offering a ceasefire." Peter exchanged glances with Greg, who had joined him for this final push. "They're stalling," Greg warned. "Intelligence suggests they're bringing in reinforcements from the outer systems." "Agreed," Peter replied. "Tell them we'll discuss terms after they surrender the Orion base unconditionally." The battle resumed with increased intensity. Council ships fought desperately, knowing this was their last stand. Their once mighty empire had been reduced to a fraction of its former size as world after world declared independence. Captain Natalie Wright led the assault on the Council's space station orbiting Orion IV. Her boarding teams, composed of humans and allies from 6 different species, fought their way through the massive structure. "We've reached the Central Command," Natalie reported. "The Council's Supreme Commander has surrendered." With their leadership captured and their fleet in disarray, the remaining Council forces had no choice but to stand down. The war that had begun with Earth's rebellion ended with the Alliance's decisive victory in the Orion system. The peace conference convened on neutral territory, a space station constructed specifically for this purpose at the border between Alliance and Council space. Earth representatives took their place alongside their alien allies, no longer the primitives the Council had once dismissed. "The old Galactic Council is dissolved," announced the chief negotiator for the former Council species. "We propose a new galactic assembly where all spacefaring civilizations have equal representation." John Phillips, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the new assembly, addressed the gathered representatives. Earth did not fight merely to replace one form of dominance with another. "We fought for the right of all species to determine their own destiny." The resulting treaty fundamentally transformed galactic politics. The exploitative practices of the old Council were explicitly forbidden. Resources would be shared, with fair compensation guaranteed. A mutual defense pact ensured that no species would ever again face subjugation. Captain William Chen, hero of the Battle of Arcturus, was appointed to lead the peacekeeping force tasked with enforcing the new galactic charter. His fleet, comprising ships from 20 different worlds, patrolled former conflict zones to prevent any return to hostilities. "The real work begins now," William told his multinational crew as they embarked on their first mission. "Peace is harder to maintain than war is to wage." On Earth, celebration gave way to rebuilding. The knowledge gained during the conflict accelerated human development by centuries. Clean energy derived from Council technology eliminated pollution. Medical advances extended human lifespans. Space travel became commonplace, with colonies established throughout the solar system. Dr. Daniel Carter, whose discovery of the shield vulnerability had started Earth on the path to victory, now headed the Galactic Science Academy. Researchers from dozens of worlds worked together, sharing knowledge freely. "We've entered a new era," Daniel told a class of students from 15 different species. "The universe is vast, and only by working together can we hope to understand its mysteries."